We are back after an international break for the players and the fans. FCC played their first match again this past weekend, and we had to rush back to the mics to talk about it. Not only that, but there are a few things we need to touch on that occurred during the soccer blackout, otherwise known as the international break. You are listening to Cincinnati Soccer Talk, and I'm Boston Brazel, and this is the main show where myself and three other great hosts go over what is in the Cincinnati soccer scene currently, like Coach Noonan returning home to see his mentor on Father's Day weekend, then stealing from his house and running back to Cincinnati, which the Philly papers claim they dominated the pitch to save face. Seriously, though, Philly, so many good storylines, and you run the whole "we were the better team" one? The oldest excuse in soccer strikes again. We also need to talk about that FIFA rejection. We asked her to the dance, and she told all her friends she was thinking about us. We kept getting reports back from the friends that we might get the shot and once and for all show our buddies that we are cool. Then, bam, popular girl closes that door in our face, and we will say we never cared, and our real girlfriend goes to another school because we can. But we want to take a look at that aftermath and just one last peek for self-improvement. Let me get my co-host in here to get this show fired up. These guys got a taste of podcast retirement before being sucked back in. Welcome to the land of audio. Brian Weigel, you're first up.
It really sounded like you had a lot of rejection issues growing up as a kid. Hey, I'm a ginger. I know exactly how it is, pal. No, glad to be back. Lot to talk about. Had some great experiences, I guess, during the international break with the U.S. men's national team game, and just excited to see how things are going to go the second half of the year, man. Very, very happy to be back and can't wait to get back into the swing of things.
Yeah, no comment on whether the first girl I asked to prom said no or yes.
Hey, all that matters is the last one said yes.
The things we tell ourselves. All right, this guy went dark during the break, so I'm looking forward to finding out what he was up to. Mr. Lance, how are you, bud?
I'm good. Yeah, those were some oddly specific details of that analogy.
Oddly specific.
He's like, I got to rewrite this for next
What'd you
week.
do with your break, dude?
I watched a lot of hockey, and it was really busy at work. I mean, this was the time where all of our summer leagues are getting ready to start or starting. So I was traveling a ton, the glorious places of Dayton, Indianapolis, and the booming metropolis of Louisville, Kentucky. So Hit them all. Hit all the big ones.
Oh, man. Next up, Ken Hedger. We look forward when he's on. Thanks for rolling in and saying hi, Ken. How are you?
Yeah, good to be back. Jeremy, the real question is where is the real home of Gotham?
Well, technically, according to our filing, Delaware, like most businesses, but it's Norwood, Ohio is where our actual offices are. So
Batman's in Norwood.
Yes, he is. Like literally right next to the Cintas Center. That's where we're at.
Kind of makes sense, higher crime, more potholes.
Oh yeah, a lot of potholes.
Well, Ken, I do look forward to your thoughts, especially later in the show pertaining to what Cincinnati needs to do in the back half. So appreciate you being on. Well, let's jump right into it. We were waiting for the day FC Cincinnati played again, and it finally came. They walk away from Philadelphia with a 1-1 draw, played really, really well in the first half. And then I guess Philly picked up the steam a little bit later on, but could not come away. Both teams scored in the first half. Nothing happened in the second, despite Philly supposedly doing a better job in the second half, which of course makes them the better team. Let's jump into the best and worst, Brian.
Well, I'm going to kind of do a riff off my best real quick. The best of the week was that the U.S. Youth U20s were playing this week, so both Leon Flock and Paxton Aronson were gone, so that helped a depleted FC Cincinnati. But I'll still say I thought that while we didn't look like we were running on all cylinders, I still thought without our best player in Lucho, we looked pretty well after a long break, and several guys through COVID protocols. And I think I saw Brandon Vestas going down to Mexico for a week. And so I'm just excited to see the guys looked refreshed, re-energized, and we're able to put in a really good shift versus one of the better teams in the Eastern Conference. I think the worst is that I think you see it in games like this where our margins are still pretty small. We're just a little mistake. Teams can take a big advantage of it. Like our talent level's not to where we need it to be. And I mean, even you see it like Jeff Cameron, like on some of his defending and Blackett. And even though I think a lot of people say he had a decent game, Johnny Nelson. So I still think there's a lot of room for improvement, but at the end of the day, Pat Noonan's getting great effort, great results out of what I would consider probably one of the least talented teams in the in Major League Soccer.
Well, you're dancing around some of my points, but you didn't hit them. Thank you. Ken, give me your
I was hoping
best
to get a
and
little
worst.
pushback from some of you guys.
Oh, I'm going there a little bit.
We'll get there.
Yeah, I think we're all dancing around the same thing. Let's see. The best is, I think Pat Noonan's just, understanding Obi and how to use him. And Matt Doyle brought it up and pointed out actually to Nate's article of, we're not pressing as high. We're almost doing what I call a midfield trap, sort of. We're not pressing so high and getting ourselves in bad spots, but we're allowing Obi this midfield area in which he can dominate. And it's nice to see a style coming about and the players being utilized within that style. So that's the best, I think. The worst, and Brian kind of alluded to it, is, the margins are so small, but man, we need to start winning these type of games. These are like 50-50 games. And instead of being just a draw, we need to get some points every now and then. It's great to go against these teams. We need to learn to close these games out, and we're right there on the cusp. I just want us to find that. That's all.
We've been so conditioned in the past 3 seasons, Ken, and I think to your point here, that a draw is a victory in our eyes. But now the team's performing well enough, or our expectations are well enough that we need to capitalize. Correct?
That's correct. Yeah, we need to learn to close some of these games out. It feels good. I have no complaint of the game itself. Just, you want those extra 2 points. We need those extra 2 points. So, and Boston tells us not to mute us, but he mutes himself.
I muted myself. Yeah, you guys told us all a few months ago, just don't finish last. Now look at you talking about getting 2 more points on the road.
Chicago.
They get that taste. They get that taste of that victory.
Chicago.
Now they're all wanting
shooting that bar way up there. All right, Jeremy, give me your best and worst.
My best was, you got to remember coming into this little break we had, we actually dropped 2 in a row. So the fact just that we snapped a losing streak and something we were, prone to get into and get stuck in, just losing ways. The fact that we just didn't lose and that streak stopped at 2, and we can kind of start fresh with this portion of the season after the break. I thought that was kind of important. If we came stumbling out of the gates totally like we did going into the break, that would have been a little concerning. And obviously there's still concerns to have. My worst is obviously the inavailability of Junior Moreno. And as one of the most important pieces in our lineup, probably the biggest impact player we've had over the first part of the season, at least for me, to not have him available, we still don't really know what the situation is. Did he just take a knock? Is it a bigger deal? That's concerning. So obviously we hope that that availability comes back real soon.
Yeah, I think my worst echoes that, not just him, but also the COVID protocols. Like, all of us thought we get this international break and we are finally going to come back mostly healthy, and the team's going to be refreshed. They played all these games. They were towards the top of the league in games played. And so, you know what, let's go ahead and get the break, get the rest, and bam, we're going to come out of the gate and we're going to be playing some good soccer again. Yeah, well, I don't know. It's like you can't catch a break. You get guys, you had COVID protocols early in the week, COVID protocols late in the week, and Acosta was able to end up running out, but he didn't look 100%, obviously. So that was probably, I think I saw several of you say that was his most incomplete game. And that's got to be because the guy wasn't in training for the first half of the week. and just recovering from whatever he was in. I guess I shouldn't say the COVID word because it was.
I mean, with all the
travel,
travel, it's actually almost a relief that was as little players as it was. I mean, with guys going to all over the world, really.
Yeah.
The fact that you only had like 2 or 3 that ended up in protocol, that could have been way worse.
Yeah, but still was a bummer to me to not have the full run out after such a big break. I hope FC Cincinnati gets to the point that that's coming really soon. It would be nice to have Brenner played a lot better, I guess, is part of my best. Would love to see the confidence boost of him getting on the score sheet a couple times, because I think that might send him into the stratosphere if he can get there. But alas, still playing well, still showing talent. Hoping for at some point. Then also, I want to give a shout out to Anders Sailing for going to Philadelphia for Cincinnati Soccer Talk and shooting that game. Definitely probably was the only Cincinnati related photographer on the field out there. And so good for him. And I hope he had a blast shooting that. And we will have those pictures up soon. I think we published Vasquez's banger shot that a lot of you liked. And we have a few more to go with that. So shout out to Andrews. Anything else you guys want to talk about with this game? Vasquez getting in position was the one thing that caught me. Like, that guy just somehow in this match, he didn't have his fancy split the defenders move that he's been doing. And this one, he just made sure he was at the post at the right time. And it seemed like it was a scheduled play.
He finds a way.
Was that supposed to go to him?
I don't know. I don't think it was a set play in that regard. That came off in that manner. I mean, he just finds a way to put himself in a position to shoot. He's not always successful, but 90% of the battle is getting in the spot, and he does that better than anybody else on our team right now. So
cool. Any critique of Baji in this one?
I mean, it's no more than usual. I mean, he had his miss, but otherwise, I think he wasn't terrible. He played well in parts. I don't know. It is one of those guys that you're like, oh, it's going to come, and now it's like, okay, is it? Like, are the goals going to really start to come?
I think seeing a 2-forward system after this break, of course, Lucho wasn't there, but having Brenner officially surmount Baji, I guess you could say.
Sure.
Supplant. I think that's a big message, but I think that's also in the long run probably good for us, because being able to bring Baji's quality off the bench where he can go max effort for 30 minutes. I mean, the guy's been terrific all season. I mean, yes, he hasn't scored, but to me, he's been well worth his weight or his value. But now, we're still going to have a little bit of schedule congestion here coming up. You got I think a midweek next week. And then, a rash of games here in July. So he's going to see some time on the field. But I guess the one thing that I when I saw the starting 11 and not seeing Alec Can in the 11 and still seeing Roman, I just really wonder if we're going to see Alec much, if he's still how severe he is. But, credit to Roman. I mean, he had some great saves again, and this rookie, man, he's been impressive. He had
a good little bounce back match. I mean, it was a little rough there right before the break. He had some rougher outings than we were used to.
Open season on him a little bit. But
yeah.
Just imagine, like, I can't remember who was saying this, is that like the supplemental spots on our roster have really shown very well this year. And Johnny Nelson, again, he's not. I don't think anybody will call him a top tier left back, but he's done a very serviceable job.
He's doing a job
very well. Ian Murphy, great. So just seeing these guys do that, it gets me excited. And we'll talk about this later. What our GM's going to be able to do when he gets his top level full price talent in. And it racks my brain. What the hell is going on with Isaac Atanga? And I mean, is he hurt right now, or what? How can he not get on this team?
He's not even getting on the 2 team, is he?
Yeah.
I mean, is he even getting a field there? So, that makes no sense.
I think this is all just to the point where, and we'll talk. I know Ken and I are going to have a discussion about this. Is just our coaching staff is doing so well using pieces that really he shouldn't have to rely on.
Well, I mean, I think the coaching staff also isn't playing players just because they're paid well. Otherwise, you'd see Brenner starting every single game ahead of Vasquez just by salary.
Jeff Cameron started this week, so
someone had to start. You had 3 center backs there.
I mean, don't you think it's sort of, to say letting Cameron have his due? I sit there and go, still rotation. I know it's been 2 weeks, so what does rotation really matter at this point? But we had a short week this week. Maybe they want Murphy for Friday instead of Saturday. Sure. And I mean, I look at it as Noonan and the coaching staff are sitting there tactically playing these guys the way they want them to play. And they're planning it 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out, where we were used to same 11 for 27 games in a row with the same 3 subs.
Yep.
And now we're seeing what happens when you start to rotate guys and you see play. I mean, I think Jeff Cameron filled in admirably. I don't think he was great, but you need to get those kind of minutes from players to give Murphy a break, to give other players a break. So I think it's smart, personally.
I don't know. What do you guys make of Alvaro Barreal kind of in that backup playmaker role?
It's unfortunate. I mean, I didn't think he was terrible. It's just unfortunate that seems to be our only backup plan when Acosta's not available.
Yeah. I mean, Kimi is not there yet.
Right.
I think he might be in time. But I mean, again, Barreal's a high paid player. I just think his strengths are different. I mean, he's a lot more comfortable in space running with the ball. Now he stops like 10 yards short of the end line, which drives me absolutely bonkers. But I mean, I think he's doing fairly well in learning the system that Noonan is wanting everybody to play. He's still putting in a good defensive shift, which I think you could probably critique that in games and years and early in the season.
Well, yeah, we had the 2 young wingers that we brought in, and Barreal's finding himself actual like space and opportunity within Noonan's setup. Where we just talked about Atanga. Someone mentioned he played in the 2s, but that is not what he was brought here to do. Like
he's the most expensive player in MLS Next Pro.
Big money.
Yeah. But he hasn't produced, and he's had chances. They brought him up for Open Cup games. He just hasn't made an impact to Noonan. Yeah. So what else are you going to do?
You almost got to wonder if the conversations with both parties have been, we need to start looking for a new opportunity somewhere else for you.
Yeah, I mean that's coming up here on the 7th of July. That's why I was going to make a joke about Brenner. He's got 3 more games to find his form, so we can sell him for more than pennies. But
get in that shop window.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have that discussion too with Brenner and should he stay or should he go? But yeah, I think that's a good point, man. It's just really disappointing to see some of our big dollar players like Cruz and Kubo hurt, but just not performing.
So to go back to what Boston originally brought up, which is Barreal, do we need another 10, or does Barreal fill in well enough at the 10 spot for when Acosta is gone? I mean, I like the versatility that he kind of brings and the flexibility, but is a backup 10 a legitimate concern, or just too expensive to even think about? Also,
not kind of a luxury. Enough. I think it's a luxury at this point for this club.
Not a concern enough for me to waste one of our precious few transfer moves on.
Is Nazmi still playing?
Yeah, he's probably too old for us now. I think he finally retired.
I honestly, I think if you could go out and get somebody for $150K, but it would probably be a fringe player, and I think you'd let Barreal get into that role, get experience in that role, and again, not his U22 designation is to be here for 2 or 3 seasons and then to sell him. Yeah. That's what it's there for. It's not to make him a 10-year player. It's sell on. So I'd say give him the run out, even though he's definitely not the same type of player.
Caleb Fogel on YouTube is saying, are you really saying Murphy is first choice over Cameron? Come on now. He's shown flashes, but he's still young nonetheless. I think we have different opinions on this.
Two dudes on the opposite end of the age spectrum there. You got a young guy who's not proven and an older guy who's proven, but like, I don't know how much tread's left on that tire. And it's really starting to show, I feel like, this season.
Yep. Caleb, I might be disagreeing with you here. I think it's more disappointing to me that it's not clear cut that it's not Cameron. Yes, Murphy has his issues, but the dude's played very well this year. I think he's earned playing time. And the fact that we still only have 4 center backs, we use 3 sometimes. Blackett and Cameron have had injuries. I'd say he's absolutely in that conversation every week. Now, what do we bring in this window? There's been rumors with the DP center back, which I have my own thoughts about that later, but I think he's earned the benefit earned the opportunity. Sorry.
I think Cameron is your starter after something like this, after a few weeks. I like him. I think he's my first starter if he is well rested, and that's when I trust him the most. I do not trust him when he's played 2 weeks in a row, and I want Murphy in there hands down every single time.
If we are going again right now, if we're going into a playoff match, I want Cameron's leadership. I want his expertise. You look at him at some times and just even little plays like not stepping up on that shot.
Yeah.
That lead to the goal. That's a huge red flag for somebody who should know better.
But you know what? I mean, this was at this point in the season the closest thing to that. It was the closest thing to a playoff game. It was on the road against not only one of the toughest opponents in the East, but the opponent that, because of who we are now as an organization, this is who we're always going to be put up against. Of like, yeah. So I think Cameron got the start based off of that, of what he brings from a veteran leadership standpoint, not so much a ability to make that first step. And
same thing can be said about Harris Medina this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who played well. He had some help next to him. Thank God, Obi.
Yep. That's key.
Yeah. All right, let's transition a little bit. First off, we want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Suero X. We have the discount code on the screen, CST 2022. Guys, I don't know if you saw my Twitter post, but they are in stores as promised. Finally, was at Jungle Gyms. Saw a super cool display on sale. Suero X has broken into the Ohio market. It is no longer just the brand you hear about on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. It is now in stores, and you can grab it off a shelf. And you were wondering this whole time if it was real. Well, it is, and it's delicious. And you can check it out yourself.
Just to let you know, when you say Jungle Gyms is in Fairfield. You went to Jungle Gyms Eastgate, pal.
You went to the fake one.
You went to the fake one.
Yes. Fake Jungle Gyms.
You mean the new and improved one because they have more real estate and more money to build.
Jeremy's got my
trash one with way too many lights on.
Dude, if you've never been to the true Jungle Gyms, it's awesome. I'm going there tomorrow now, though. What?
You said whose alcohol section's bigger? That's what I want to know.
I'm sure it's Fairfield. Like identical inventory.
No,
okay.
It's Fairfield.
Oh, Ken has spoken.
I've been to both. It's Fairfield.
Really? Still. All right. Well,
regardless, whoever has the biggest Suero X display wins.
Also, you can get in touch with us at Cincinnati Soccer Talk or email us at feedback@cincinnati-soccertalk.com. We got a message on Twitter, actually, this week letting us know the last March to Match Day was a little bit too loud in the intro. We like hearing that stuff. It's helpful. We actually have different editors, so that's cool. Appreciate you reaching out, and we'll try to turn it down for you. So thanks for emailing in. No, seriously, though. All right, let's go jump into our second segment, Cincinnati losing the World Cup bid. No one wants to talk about it, but we got to talk about it a little bit just because it impacts our city. I know we don't normally get into the non-soccer side of things, as that is our specialty and forte, but it's stung a little bit. I know that going into the Hamilton County vote, there was a lot of optimism, and FIFA had even, done some whispering that vote was necessary and needed. So a lot of people thought we get this vote passed and we have a real big shot at this thing. And then, of course, it went bleak right afterwards. when other cities started announcing big parties with governors and mayors, and the word here was just nothing.
When the word was, we will be issuing a statement after the announcement, that was pretty much the curtains right there.
Yeah.
That was all she wrote.
You saw the writing on the wall after that. And then we reached out, of course, here at CST to people that were so optimistic just a week before.
Yeah.
And just to see it change on them, I think it was surprising. It caught some people off guard that had a lot of hope. And we do want to give some thanks to all the people that put in a lot of work. There was a lot of people behind the scenes making this, from different members of council and commissioners to, of course, birding. And then they had a special committee put together for this thing, and business leaders. And of course, they donated a bunch of money to the party and the event itself, trying to ramp up excitement. So thanks for trying, actually. I mean, Cincinnati's normally a city that punches above its weight. And we all thought there was a chance to do it again here.
Yeah. No, it's lame to say, like, oh, I'm glad we were at least in the discussion. But, like, no, it's actually, like, legitimately cool that we got this close to it, and that people in the city cared that much about putting in that effort and trying to make it happen and trying to put, Cincinnati on the global soccer map, which I'd say we still are. Yeah, it was a letdown that we didn't get picked. It's more of a letdown that we lost out to Kansas City, which is fine. That's a fine place. It's fine.
I was going to say, what is the city that most disappointed you that got a spot?
That got a spot? Probably like Boston. So we have Boston, New York, and Philly. Like, that all seems a little congested there. A little overrepresentation of that part of the East.
Yeah, the one that got me was Houston, and not because Houston got it. It was because Houston and Dallas both got it, and I've been to Houston, and I'm just not. I just don't know what's there. I mean, to be honest,
Houston's about as hot as Qatar is, so they're going to have those matches moved.
Well, Iowa had no problem with Kansas City getting it, and I say that in the aspect of I don't think they were better than Cincinnati. So I just love. I'm glad that. They should reach out to these Midwestern towns. That sounds terrible, cities, and give them more of an opportunity. Because I don't see Houston and, like you said, Boston as being a destination. And I use the word Boston because it's Foxborough. That's really the concern.
That was the frustrating, is like you have both Boston and Kansas City. You're talking about stadium setups that are not in this, like it's not in the city next to something. Like Paul Brown is right here next to everything downtown. Like you can have all your fan fests and all your things literally right next door. You could use Great American. You could use whatever, like use TQL for stuff. That made a lot of sense just from that standpoint. Also, our airport's way better than Kansas City's airport. That place is terrible.
I thought if we lost it would be because of the Kentucky drive in from the airport, which really isn't that bad. But then they pick Kansas City and Foxborough. Transportation is
but when it comes to public transportation, we don't rank super high on that as far as what they would want.
Yeah, I get it, but it's not as big of a concern. Like
the most important thing is that Nashville also got rejected, and that's what's going to make me sleep good tonight.
I think I had a Twitter post that I was actually kind of disappointed that Nashville didn't get it, because I look at Kansas City and I could I'd be like, because our quote unquote rivalry with Nashville, I've been like, God, Nashville got it, but like Kansas City, it's a concrete jungle.
Arrowhead's a dump.
It's a dump. I get why Nashville didn't get it. I mean, they're building a new stadium or retrofitting their stadium, and there's a lot of things there. Did any of you guys catch? I don't know if this was fake. I believe it was real. That like Don Garber tweeted out a photo of incorrect host cities, and like Cincinnati was on there, Nashville's on there, and Denver was on there, and then Kansas City I don't think was.
I mean,
added 2 extra cities.
Considering you had FIFA putting out a map that had almost all the cities in the wrong location.
Yeah. Well,
I wouldn't be surprised if they had the wrong locations.
I think there was so much politics and everything that went up to it, went up to the very end. They're talking about adding Boston. Like, people said Cincinnati had no chance. I can promise you that Cincinnati was. I mean, we were right there in the discussion.
Oh no, I think down the stretch when they were looking at one more central location, it was us in Kansas City. Nashville had already had too many stadium issues. At that point, we had a 50-50 shot, and that's not having no chance.
Yeah, no, I think we did well. I think having the whole thing with DC, people are all like, "Oh, you can't." Well, they weren't never going to have a game in DC anyway. They're still going to have a major fan fest there, I'm sure. Which that is what it is. I'm sure Cincinnati will have something too. Which I guess it'll be cool. Maybe going downtown to the banks and watching games or whatnot. But overall, I think it's still going to be exciting. We're probably going to have, and I think somebody else discussed this. We're probably going to be a host site for a team or two. And
Absolutely.
I kind of look at it this way. Like people are like, oh, who cares if you're the host town for Ethiopia or Denmark or
they did not
whoever.
Make it. I can
next cycle.
Attract them. They didn't make it.
Next cycle. We're adding like 40 teams next cycle.
They already didn't. Ethiopia already didn't make it.
Oh my God.
I say that as a fan.
That's amazing. So, but what my point is, this is kind of what I wanted to bring it up is I was thinking, okay, what positives can Cincinnati still have out of this? Okay. We've heard rumors that Cincinnati would like to add a women's team, right? We are growing our club, our academy system out. So I was thinking, okay, Cincinnati, if we're smart, we're leveraging that. So either we go out and build a brand new training complex for the women or the men or academy system. So, not only do you have Mercy Health, but you have another training center that can host another team and maybe we say, hey, Germany, come on over here. Cause they built their own training center in Brazil like 4 years ago. I'm sure they're going to do something here in Qatar. Let's leverage that somehow, help them foot the bill for our new training center. You know what I'm saying? I just think of positives, like people like, who gives a crap? I just think there's a way for FC Cincinnati to profit out of this.
I think we'll absolutely be a spot that a national team will probably hang out in as their like home base.
And hell, we might host a friendly right beforehand and pay a tenth of the price of Kansas City. No, let's go.
If that's a tenth of the price, I don't want to see the tickets.
There you go. Joe Duncan said Birding and Linder said MLS All-Star Game 2025. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I think we talked about that in the last show. Like that had to be coming, right?
It has. Every new stadium
list for that.
Every new stadium gets one. We'll get ours. I agree with you guys. All right, one last question, totally not soccer related. What do you think the city would need to do to get back on the playing field with the big boys, these other cities that did get a team? And then as a secondary question, do you even want to do what it would take? Is it okay being in a smaller city and missing out on these big events sometimes just to keep your lower cost of living, Midwest vibe, Cincinnati, small when you want it, big when you want it?
No, I get that. There is something to be said about the fact that our city ultimately doesn't have to kiss the ring fully of FIFA and spend the money that could probably go to other more important things than Paul Brown Stadium not being a concrete blob. I get that. And I think that there is a debate, especially, obviously it's not the same thing, but you look at like the Olympics and some of these things, like the debate of the toll that it ultimately takes long-term on a city for the negative than the positive. I don't know what being a host city of like a couple World Cup games would do that, but yeah, I could definitely see there could be some negatives as far as just how things are spent, what is built for what reasons because of that. Yeah, I don't know.
Women's World Cup, baby. It's coming here.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Put a cap on Fort Washington Way. Ultimately, that's what I say needs to be done. Oktoberfest is down there right now, and if you ever go down there for Oktoberfest, it's a complete nightmare navigating your way around. If you put a cap on where you can allow people to walk from 2nd Street to 3rd Street, it just makes it a lot easier, and it makes it an event event area. It can. So, I mean, I'm not saying it's financially viable. I'm just saying,
Homie, FIFA doesn't care.
I know.
They're putting a concrete jungle around Kansas City. So.
Oh yeah, I know they don't.
Yeah, I just sometimes wonder if it's worth it. I really like living in Cincinnati, and so there's certain things I don't want to change. Us being Cincinnati, or losing whatever that identity is to chase these huge things. You know, I think my wish list, putting the soccer hat off and throwing it across the room, is just getting a bigger convention center, and then some kind of. And this takes multi-state cooperation. Some of this, we are killed by being on a river and we can't expand a whole direction. But getting some kind of better transportation from the airport here would turn a lot of heads if we could solve those two issues.
Now, here's my question. Now that we know the host cities, do any of you
Philly.
intend on trying to go?
Philly.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm going. I'm definitely going, yeah.
My best friend lives there. We're already, yeah, that'd be fun.
So my parents
Hilariously,
live
I'm
about
going
an
to Houston.
hour. My parents live about an hour north of Atlanta, so we can stay far enough away that we're not dealing with that mess, and then we can just have like somebody just drive us into town and drop us off and pick us up at the end of the night.
If I could pick a city, it'd be Toronto.
Yeah, dude, that's a madhouse town.
I know. I'm just saying.
Oh.
Getting across, all that navigation and trying to find a room. I have family in Philly, could do Philly. I have friends in Dallas, could do Dallas.
Yeah.
I could, I got a number of options. I'm still debating on.
Is Toronto the only one playing in a true soccer stadium and not like an NFL stadium?
Yeah.
I mean,
They're
define
expanding
true.
it.
Well,
Because Robert Kraft would tell you no.
hold on. We're forgetting 3 Mexico cities,
Yeah.
and
Those are actual soccer stadiums.
I
Vancouver.
do not want to see how expensive the ticket for a Mexico game in Azteca is going to be. That would be, I think, one of the coolest experiences.
Oh, people are going to have to sell their houses to go to that thing. I mean, that'd be unbelievable. That'll be the ticket of a lifetime for a Mexican fan to go there.
Do you think they'll put any team in there particularly? Do you think they have one team set up to go there already?
Yeah, Russia.
Well, it is a bummer not to get it. Just to recap, this places you can watch the World Cup in 2026 are MetLife Stadium in New York, New Jersey, Los Angeles, SoFi Stadium, of course, newly built AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Levi Stadium in San Francisco, Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta, Lumen Field, Seattle, NRG Stadium, Houston, Lincoln Financial Field, Philadelphia, Kansas City, Missouri Arrowhead Stadium, and Gillette Stadium in Boston. Those are the places you can go. So if you got family, friends, or whatever, that's going to help offset the ridiculous hotel cost. So that's honestly my strategy.
Start saving now.
Just try to buy.
Set aside that account right now.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. When's the next time the World Cup's going to come to the United States? It's probably going to be a bit. So
we won't be around for it.
I was going to say I'll be around.
All right,
Ken won't be.
That's correct.
Jeez.
I'll validate that. I'm fine with that. You'll be in a walker at best.
Let's give a shout out to everyone that supports Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Brand new patrons, Robert Triple, Joe Lore, and Bill Leopard. Thank you so much. I think it's Leopold, actually. Thanks so much for supporting CST. You guys all jumped in during the break, and we appreciate that. Hopefully it was to get us back on the air because it worked.
It's not Leopold anymore. It's Leopard. From now on, you got to say Leopard.
The CST is free thanks to you guys, for everybody. If you want to throw a few pennies our way to keep everything running, we are a bottom-up organization, so we get that going where it needs to go. Do want to give a special shout out to everyone who has signed up: Ree Lee, John Davidson, Mike Hudson, Robert Stevens, Laurel Failer, Matthew Adamczyk, Riley Stephen Burke, James Denbro, Tom Newhouse, Brian and Brad Weigel, Brian Gills, Dan Alberts, Will Kychek, Ian Rexroad, Augustus Caceres, Bill Antonitis, Carl Fight, Jeremy Schran, Kyle Pohl, Christina Sharma, Rupesh, Tom Beaversdorf, Jason, who is super average, John Haskell, Ryan Ernst, Mary Lou, West Anastasi, Rob Pierce, Clifford Adams, Thomas Steff, Pierce Johnson, Mike Parentis, Mr. and Mrs. Moses Wiederhold, Rob Gassell, Kevin Day, Jamie Smed, Alex Carnigas, Mike Bowman, Patrick Lahani, Dave Tingler, Brett Sova, Chris Hubbard, Kevin Cooney, Joe Max, Jack Emery, Sarah Gorman, David Moore, Bob Ryan, Ryan Durkin, Bart Labita, Mark Neuenschwarner, Rob Triple, Joe Lore, and Bill Leopold, or Leopard, whichever one you want to go by. You can support Cincinnati Soccer Talk at our website, cincinnati-soccertalk.com/support, or finding us on Patreon. New Apple deal, guys. Did you hear about it?
Sure did.
No more antenna. Yes.
I looked up what it kind of ranks worldwide. You got the EPL, obviously, first. $1.64 billion a season. Then
Pretty good one.
Then you got the German, Spanish leagues, League One, Mexico. MLS comes in. What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th place now in the world. $250 million per season, 10-year deal. I think the general consensus is good, but not great. Mainly because Don Garber said it should be around $300 million, so he kind of shot himself in the foot there.
Yeah, that was before those national TV ratings came out, bud. You guys are in the toilet there.
I think it is great. I want to address a fallacy that people just bump into MLS and become fans by finding it on ESPN or whatever. Like, first off, that doesn't happen. My dad might casually go down and see a Star 64 game, but I think in all honesty, the dollars right now is what's the most important, because
So you don't believe in out of sight, out of mind?
I believe that you get more money, you spend it on your team, you get stars, because how our generation is trending is people tune in for stars and not for teams always. I think you have your diehards that
Sure.
us that tune in for FC Cincinnati, but when we do get a Messi or Insigne, these guys coming in, people will find a way to tune in. I think case in point, when we do very well in the World Cup this year and we get stars or stars come into the league, people will be like, okay, well, I do want to watch the XYZ guy. Apple TV, let's go. I think that's why, if the owners spend the money the right way, that will be, I think, more, you'll gain more eyeballs versus who cares if it's on Bally Sports Network.
Have you met these owners? Do you actually trust them to spend money the right way?
Hey, Columbus Crew
you're
just
open
bought a
for it?
$10 million player today, y'all.
Yeah, Columbus
$10
Crew
million.
has largely always been doing the right things when it comes to making
Okay. moves. I mean,
They're not one of the clubs I'm thinking of people
Yeah,
that will not spend this money appropriately.
They've been cheap, but Zella Ryan and now,
Right.
and they've always
this is
been
the
They've hit home runs, though, when they
planning
needed to.
for him.
What if
Oh,
this
sure,
deal?
sure.
What if this deal changes to the roster roles to say 4 DPs?
Oh, has to.
I'm just saying, those are things that this deal can do. It can move that ball in that direction, and you'll start to find the teams that, hey, you're going to have your FC Dallas or whoever who doesn't want to spend money, and you're going to have Cincinnati who's going to go, heck yeah, 4th DP, great. They're going to go spend the money. I look at it as a positive, and I also look at it from also Apple's perspective. All these streaming platforms are trying to find the sports in, and I'm not saying MLS is the sports in, but you get another sport. They get Thursday Night Football, Apple TV. I don't know what they get. Something
Friday Night Baseball.
I know they
How's
have
that going?
right? But I'm just saying, you start to build your portfolio, should I say, and other people see other things and they buy in. Maybe they start to package some of this stuff together. I don't know. I'm not saying I have the solution, but as Brian said, this generation streams, and the more you can get, the more people buy. It inherently happens. It just does.
What it tells me is MLS knows its audience. They know that they have a younger generation that prefers to shoot some app on their television to watch TV. All of us have some kind of streaming service, most likely. And all of us, I like it a lot better than I like EPL's multi-platform, same network junk going on here in the States. So at least it's all packaged together. And I think we're crazy if we don't think this is not happening next with other leagues. MLS is just first.
This is, MLS is absolutely ahead of the curve with this type of all-in, one location, one platform, everything universal, no blackouts, global package, that whole thing. Yes, absolutely. MLS is so far ahead of the curve on that. That's where the feature's heading, and they're getting there first. I still wonder, like, how many people are actually going to buy this out the gate, because you got to think the ratings are really, the national TV ratings are terrible for MLS.
Mm-hmm.
And they're terrible for MLS because despite in each city and each region having really strong support, the amount of people that have really strong support for their team have, generally speaking, not great like overall support for the league, and don't really care too much about the league. They care about their team, their culture, the fan base they're a part of. They care about all of that. But the actual like whole league concept hasn't really caught on with a whole lot of fans. I think that's what you see with these terrible national TV ratings that do try to feature big stars as much as they can. So I think that if you're talking about this as an all-in-one package for people that like MLS, this is a fantastic thing to get, where I'm just going to get everything. There's no blackouts. I can watch it from anywhere. It's got it all, a bunch of original content. Awesome. But the average sports fan, yeah, I agree. They're not going to all of a sudden bump into a game on ESPN and like suddenly they're a fan. I mean, maybe if they bumped into that Zlatan's debut, that probably made some fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably made some fans because that game was absolutely insane.
Bonkers.
But I think you're going to lose a lot of people. And I think Mo Egger here locally made that point where he was like, I do try to catch the games, but I'm probably not going to do it as much because there's a lot of people that like the team in their city and they like going to the games and they'll watch it when it's on, but they're not going to chase it. And they also just don't care about the other games in the league. So like this package comes with, you get all the games. Well, they don't care. They just want to watch their team. Okay. So paying that much a month, I mean, now we're back into the flow thing and nobody wanted to do that either.
Sure. But like, are you to the point, like I was writing this, like thinking about this topic, and Flow is $30 a month and still didn't work.
Price.
Didn't work. It's a pain in the butt to get to. Apple Plus TV. I mean, come on now. We're all watching Ted Lasso.
Sure.
We know.
Remember, this is on top of that. This is not
exactly. It could be $10 or whatever. Hopefully, it's not more than $10. Of course, all of us season ticket holders are going to get it for free anyway. But
that's right.
I look at it as okay. Big East basketball, they got a paywall. They're on whatever network they're on now. Everybody's going to these things.
Well, like, they have some of the paywall. They also have a fair amount of games on ESPN.
Fox, FS1, FS2, all that fun stuff. So I mean, they're all getting these. They're all getting to these areas, and I mean, we're all cord cutters. I just think this is probably the way it's going. I mean, you're talking about $10 a month, or am I going to do $200 a month for Spectrum, or however much it is now? Is it perfect? No. I think DJ said like any barrier to entry, is bad, and we've been criticizing the Reds. How big of a pain in the ass is it to watch Bally's? But this is still easier to get than Bally's, in my opinion.
Well, and have they has Bally's introduced yet that whole like pay per thing? That's their subscription thing, which they're moving everything to
next year or something like that. Yeah,
I mean that's going to be. I mean that's essentially the same thing. Yeah. No, everything is going this way. I will say that as far as TV consumption, as far as sports, everything is heading towards streaming. Sports is the one last thing keeping cable and broadcast TV alive to a certain extent, because it's the one thing that's kind of streaming proof, is in like, it's not an on-demand thing. You watch it when it's happening.
Sure.
So as far as like ad revenue and all that stuff, it's sports is still the last one that's just absolutely crushing it still on that.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so you're talking about all the out of sight, out of mind. We're still negotiating, or I should say, Don Garber's still negotiating with Fox and ESPN. Mm-hmm. There's still going to be
30
potentially
games.
30 to. But how many games are on? How many games are on TV right now nationally? I mean, 2 games a week. So I mean,
they're on random times. It's been bad.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you're going from 60 to 30 and you're gaining $200 million.
No,
So you're really not
Here's-
losing much other than the local
listen,
broadcast.
as far as money wise, this is as good of a deal as they could get, because generally speaking, with those national ratings the way they were, like, they weren't going to get the number they wanted based off of what they were producing. So they had to go this way where it's an all, you get everything. You own everything. And that's how you're going to get the price you wanted.
Let me raise a counterpoint, because I think this is important, and it's something MLS has been missing since their inception. They've split these games up with multiple partners. ESPN's gotten the lion's share, but ESPN has never promoted the brand, hardly at all. They're buried in the ESPN Plus app. You watch ESPN all day long. SportsCenter doesn't take it seriously. Even when they show soccer highlights, they joke about it in a non-serious manner. So
Sure.
you just don't have good partners. So this is a brand new partner that has real money on the line. I know it's Apple and that money is pennies to them, but it's still a big piece of that platform that they're betting on. And it's actually the first addition to their Plus platform.
They're going to go all out.
Yeah, I think you're going to see some heavy marketing here.
You have to remember, though,
Yes.
MLS is putting out all the content. Like, Apple's not creating the content. It's all league owned,
but it's still on their platform.
That's true, but like whatever the league puts into it is, if they produce all these extra shows, like go look on Apple Plus and see the stuff that like baseball has. Like, you can go and watch like historical games and like relive like important moments in the history of the league and documentaries and things like that. If we start doing that on Apple Plus, man, you're going to be growing. You have a really great, strong platform to grow off of. And the league controls it all, good or bad.
Be state media.
But my hope is
more important.
My hope is that you just see an Apple commercial one day that just says, like, boom, MLS coming to Apple. Like, that would just mean a lot, because you're looking at one of the heaviest marketing brands in America.
I think you're going to see that this winter. I think you're going to see that in the lead up. You're going to see them push this thing pretty hard, because they want it to be successful, because they want to then go to MLB or to whatever and go, how about you guys? Let's do this for you.
Yeah. And not to beat this topic to death. And I was talking about this for Stars, Jeremy. Basically Major League Soccer isn't going to stop at that $250 million a year threshold for Apple.
Sure.
For every subscriber over that, it's a revenue share. And I just look at this as that money, you incentivize the owners to go out and go get better players. Hell, have Toronto buy the whole
I was gonna say
Italian national team. They're not playing this
if
summer.
they really want to make it all about Stars, then like just throw out all the salary cap and the budget stuff and just let it just be the Wild Wild West and have it be the old NASAL and have everyone just spending crazy money in New York and a couple of the other spots and bringing in all these big names.
All right, we're running out of time, so I want to shoot because we don't have a ton for our last topic. Growler Cup, though, real quick, is still plenty of time to jump in. You saw we had 3 new patrons. They're jumping into the Growler Cup here. We had somebody take first place. I think, Ken, the top is only 10 or 11 points right now.
Yep.
So with 5 points a game, obviously, all you have to do is get a couple correct predictions, and you are in the thick of it. If you are also down on your points or forgot to register your pick like I did last week, there's still plenty of time for us to get in here. FC Cincinnati is jumping into this key part of the Major League Soccer season where we see teams rise and fall in this back half. We have heard talk about a new center back coming in. No additional news on that quite yet, but where else are you guys looking? Where are you focusing if you're Pat Noonan? What needs to be done to really make this team a finished product? I think we saw in the Philly match that just one more piece may have made all the difference in that 1-1 draw. Let's go with you first, Brian.
Oh, man. Is this the topic post-break or is this something different?
Yeah.
Okay. So I kind of want to see if we're gonna if ownership is going to double down and go for it, or are we gonna just kind of play the I guess safe route, I guess you could say. Like, we've been struggling so much as fans. Like, we just want a winner. And I really hope Albright can convince our ownership group to go for it and go get some guys this summer. I mean, we're hearing a DP center back. I think that's ludicrous if we're paying a DP center back. You don't have to spend that much money on center back. Look at Hagelin and Murphy. Yes, they're not great, but I think our money can be spent in better places. And we don't really have a DP spot at the moment with Brenner. But I do want us to go out and get another impact player, whether it's another midfielder or somebody that can push up the right-hand side. I think that'll make us deadly.
Ken?
Well, I mean, I think center backs are obviously our need. I think I wrote what I'm looking for in the second half is sort of stay true to ourselves and find the right guy. And I'm not opposite of Brian per se, but I don't want us to go for it and just get a guy that fills the need to get us into the playoffs. I want Chris Albright to stay true to getting the right guy. And maybe we're in the thick of it and we can come in 8th. I'm not saying, you should be happy about it, but next year, maybe that guy is the guy who loads us up and we're in 3rd instead of 6th this year and 6th next year. I don't know. I'm just spitballing an idea. I'm just saying find the right guy. I'm not saying we don't have to spend and get an expensive guy and get a guy who does get us into the playoffs. I'm just saying find the right guy and not just fill a hole because we have a hole. I know we have a hole in the center back.
8 holes.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm just like you said, Brian. We have a hole at center back, and I say hole. We have a need for it. Just don't go sign a DP center back because you have a need for it. I agree completely with what you said. Don't spend your DP money there. That's kind of what I'm saying is be smart, stay smart to hit who we need to be within the roster constraints that MLS provides us.
I just think the bubble of our performance is going to burst at some point, and we're going to come back to earth. And not having a spark is scary to me. Like having a left back like Johnny Nelson, I love him. He's doing very well. Having our left back and our right back as weak as they are, Gaddis played well. Whatever, we need something.
What does that left back get you? See, this is where I would counter Brian. Come next year, you have all of a sudden 3 left backs. You have Nelson, whoever you're saying to bring in, and then it's like, well, as a supplemental, Johnny Nelson's a supplemental. What else are you going to get better than Johnny Nelson?
That's what I'm saying. He's supplemental. You said you're going to have three left backs. So Matarrita, you don't know where he's going to be. You don't know how he's going to be.
Well, Obi was a big spending fill a hole type of guy. They worked out.
Well, I'm
counter you both.
I'm not arguing that because that was a need that I felt like we needed to spend that kind of money. I'm just saying, be smart with your money. Don't go spend a DP center back. Is what I was basically saying. And we need a center back. That's my whole point.
Jeremy's point in here.
I agree that the overspend on a center back sounds scary. But no, that's where we need the most help. We need to shore up the back line. I think that's a lot of ways how you see matches out is you don't concede late because you got tired legs and you bring guys off the bench that aren't good enough. So I think that's kind of the help they need. Listen, my goal going into this season was be playing relevant soccer in late summer, and we're like halfway there. So please keep it going.
I like that. Mine is win at home. We cannot survive the second half of the season if we play the second half like we did the first half, with dropping major points at home. We've won on the road, guys. This is where we've picked up our points in the first half of the season, which is fine for the first half of the season. But TQL Stadium's got to be a spot that FCC players are comfortable playing at, in a spot they can pick up more points, especially against teams not named Toronto. And I feel like that's been a struggle it's the one struggle that's carried over into this year from the previous years. I think
there was some serious bad juju created with how things went last year that I don't think goes away overnight. They're going to have to really exercise some demons to kind of turn the page on the non-fortress that TQL became.
But it cracks me up how good they can be sometimes on the road. Like going into Philly and coming back with a point, almost 3 points, because of the end of that match. If things just go slightly different in the 95th minute, you're looking at more than a point. And I think, how can we get that determination? That's a lot of willpower from those players when they go in.
Are we putting too much pressure on them at home?
I think
away from home, they don't feel the pressure as much. It's like, oh, we're on the
It's
road.
all
If we get
backwards.
anything out of this game, it's a positive. We're at home, like it's win or bust. And
I don't understand it because it's backwards. Soccer is supposed to work in reverse. You're supposed to be begging your guys to get some points on the road, and we kind of have this weird oopsie upside down stranger things going on. So that's my key to the second half of the season. Maybe it's bringing some players in, like you guys said, or maybe it's finding something deep down to win at home. I don't know. But real quick, let's jump into our final thoughts because we are running out of time for the end of this show. What do you guys have for me? Who wants to go first here? Ken?
Sure.
You?
I really don't have a final thought. I really don't. It sounds terrible, but I just hope to see everybody on Friday down at TQL. I do not have a final thought. I'm, pretty happy with where we're at, and just can't wait to see the team and can't wait to see everybody else on Friday for a 7:30 kickoff. And be safe and enjoy the bars.
There you go. You just got to brand it better. First home game in 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
That's your final thought right there. Brian, lay it on me.
Yeah, I know it's still, a couple weeks away, I think, for our Pride Night, but just happy that we're doing it. Got this great scarf in from our friends over at the Pride. It's a beautiful, beautiful scarf. And, there's so much evil in the world. And I think it's great that our supporters, bring a little light, bring a little love into our community. And, it's not just Pride. It's so many things out there. But just glad that they're being forces for positive change. And I know there's some discussions on some other podcasts about our supporters groups not being a fortress and things need to be better, X, Y. I think our group's done great with all things considered, and just keep it up.
The Pride is in a fundraiser battle with Nordeca, right? I think I saw that.
The Pride Raiser.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you can throw some money at the Pride, I think they're going head to head. It's real close. I'm not sure who's winning the second, but if you are,
is there live tracking for that? Can you?
I've been following it via
updates?
Twitter because they both
okay.
they're both using it as motivation, which makes sense.
Sure.
But yeah, so at any point you can really go check either of those accounts. They've been pushing pretty hard to beat each other. So throw a little Cincinnati money on top, I guess, to help push things along. All goes to a good cause either way, though. All right, Mr. Lance.
Boy, I don't have anything deep. We're getting to that time of summer where it's gonna be hot, so stay hydrated. It'll be hot as balls out there here real soon. So I don't know. As a ginger from Wisconsin, I'm bracing for that. Other than that, this is the dog days of summer. This is like literally the one thing that is there to enjoy, especially if the baseball locally continues to trend the way it is. This is all we got, folks. So enjoy it. Have fun. When it's 1,000 degrees out and you're sweating and the game's not going great, just remember of how bored you were in January when you had nothing to do. So just remember that.
Rest and recharged. Everybody should be rest and recharged after the last few weeks. I know we've had life stuff going on, but as far as soccer goes, you have not been at TQL Stadium in a long time. So I expect all of you, all of us, to get down there, be loud, be ornery, and make it what we can make it, the best we can do. We need to make it a spot that the players really want to play and really want to give us points because we need those points desperately at home. These next few matches, a lot of them are against teams that are playoff teams. So let's get them now so we don't have to be stressing the final 2 weeks of the season. Go FC Cincinnati. I think that's about all I have for you guys. if anyone has any last minute thoughts. Season ticket gifts. Yeah, real quick. Plus, minus. What'd you guys get?
What was announced? I told my boss to order me something. I don't even know what.
So you had 3 options. I think you had a apparel item, 1 per account. You had a hat, kind of a combo, was item number 2. And then number 3 was like a bunch of things like signs, scarf, small branding things. I went with option 1.
I went with the suburban white guy choice of a white quarter zip.
Ooh, so yeah. I think option 1 was definitely the most popular, even though it was only 1 per account.
That's cool.
Ken, hat?
I went with a vest.
There you go.
Well, I think they got a lot of option 1s. Season ticket gifts are weird. Like, I used to be in that branding business. There's only so much you can do, and they've already ran the scarf gamut. They've ran the bourbon glass. They gave us flags one year, and now we're on the apparel item. So you're kind of running down the chain of things. It's hard to be cool anymore.
FCC branded harpoon. That's what I want for next year.
Things like power banks are out of style now. So
no, who's using that?
All right. So it's funny if you go to one of those like e-promos websites or something like that and dig up what you can find. It's limited. I know we've looked at them for CST giveaways. We've done bags and stuff like that before too.
Honestly, I think at some point they should just give us the option to donate that to like the West End charity or something. I think that would be a much stronger message. So if anybody's listening.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it slowly fades away, or just make it a cool permanent ticket into the stadium or something like that, like a metal card, like Visa and Amex are giving out now. That's the only thing I can think of. All right, man. Let's get out of here, though. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you all for listening to this episode of Cincinnati Soccer Talk. You can catch out all kinds of content coming out on the website this week. I think we'll have more podcasts, March to Match Day, special host there by Jeffrey Tebbets, I believe. So give it all a listen and stay tuned this week.